Yes, people. It's Jacob on the one up top, and I'm going to be talking to you about the I'm not even stressed, man. I just find it funny now. Like, I've literally watched that game laughing my head off. But before I go into the game I just watched, like, share, subscribe, do all of that. When you get involved and watch this video, yeah, I'm just going to go straight into it. And as I normally do, I'll congratulate or talk about the opposition first. So, Leicester just did their homework. You know what I mean? It's like, you know that regardless of what fullbacks Tottenham play, they're going to be a weakness. So whether it's, Perisic isn't the greatest defensively. Emerson Royal's had a couple of good games and for me should have started, but even he can have a mad one. They knew that Romero wasn't going to be playing today. So, like I said on a video that I was on yesterday, no matter how we're trying to put this defence together with Romero out, you know that no matter what combination Conte used, he was going to get exposed. But they did their own work. Shout out to Harvey Barnes. He was wicked today. It's a player that I've been calling out for a couple of seasons now that Tottenham should be going after. James Maddison, another one. The two players that are arguably, well, up until today really, were fighting relegation, and they're playing for a team that's fighting relegation. We're trying to get Champions League football and they're still in the Champions League and we haven't got these players. But yeah, they did their own work. They were defensively solid enough. In the midfield, Mendy was a workhorse today. He won every battle that he needed to. He did what Højbjerg did to Man City last game, and Højbjerg was literally took to pieces today. So Leicester did their homework. But, I'm mainly coming here to talk about my side, which is Tottenham. And for me, I try and make these videos as short as possible, but I could go on for about half hour on what I've seen. You get people for the last few weeks have been saying Enoch out, Joe Lewis out, not enough thing. But you've got a team there that's, a squad of players that's good enough to at least compete with Leicester. I'm not sitting there going to take it for granted that you can just beat Leicester because you're above them. Because the Premier League, there's no given games that you can win. Like I was talking again on a video the other day, the only fixture you can have that you can kind of be convinced that you'll probably win would be a Bournemouth at home or maybe a Southampton. Apart from that, home and away, teams will give you a game. But for me, the responsibility today lies on not just the players, Conte, again, for me, is he good enough? Because we beat Man City without him there. Now, you can't sit there and say that Conte was on the phone to the coach all the time, because he wasn't. The coach was never on the phone. Every time you saw him, he looked to know what he's doing. And for me, he was left to his own devices by Conte. I think Conte just said, look, man, give it a go and let me know what you got. And he got a result out of Man City. And then when the boss comes back, we lose 4-1 to Leicester. I think, personally, the coach last week made substitutions at the right time. Dyer was pushed forward. We nullified Haaland. How is your one of your assistant coaches doing a better job than you? Because as far as I'm concerned, if he can do a job like that against Man City, I'll just have him for the foreseeable then, because you clearly didn't do your homework, clearly naive, didn't make any substitutions until the first substitution was made in the 70th minute because we had to. Bentancur was down injured and it didn't look like Conte. Just looked like me. He looked like he was watching the game just like I was. I was like, how do you look like me when you've got the tools and the responsibility to change this game? How are you looking like me in the bedroom with my kids? Are you dumb? You know what I mean? Like, I said it last week. Everyone's talking about Pedro Porro needs to start. No, he needs to earn his position. Now, if Emerson Royal was playing like he was 6 months ago, clearly would have said stick him straight in because he couldn't have got any worse. But, as much as I'm not a biggest Emerson Royal fan, for the last 3 games, he's been in the chat for man of the match. Man City, he was brilliant. The game before that, brilliant. It's like he's been a good player. So it shouldn't be just him coming out. Now, if he was going to play, I think Pedro Porro should have played in a game where we were at home. So if he was going to play West Ham, Sheffield United, Sheffield United is an FA Cup game where we need to rotate. West Ham's a game at home when you've got a majority of the support behind you. The King Power, on its day, is a very tough place to go. And you just chucked him in here and left him to dry. That first half, he would have been thinking, yep, I'm definitely coming off. And you left him on. and then brought on Emerson Royal when, effectively we should have been 4-1 down before they made it 4-1 down, because, Harvey Barnes' goal is disallowed, but ours was allowed. VAR is still having a mare, and it's not the machinery, it's not the technology that we're using, it's the people that are using it. But I'm not going to go into VAR. Realistically, it didn't determine any difference in the game. It's all on Conte. We took the game to Leicester and took the lead, and then we took our foot off the pedal and wonder why we lost. Why are you not going for the jugular? This is a team that have struggled all season. We've struggled, but we've probably got better players. Again, we've been screaming out for creative midfielders. This is why Kane, Kulusevski, there's certain games where you can get Kane dropping off and then make it easy. But if he's being dropped off and followed, and you take Harry Kane out of the game, just exactly like Leicester did, Kulusevski doesn't get the ball. And when he doesn't get the ball, he gets frustrated and he starts kicking people and then he loses his head. Son, for me, they must have something in his contract, because it's getting to the point now where I love the guy, and Dan Juma came on and didn't really do anything, but he did more than Son. How mad's that? He come on for 10 minutes, did a couple of tricks, got a couple of crosses in. That was more than Son. There was an opportunity that Son got latched onto a misplaced pass, and all he had to do was take it out of his feet, put it through to Harry Kane. Harry Kane would have had a touch, probably would have made it 3-2, made the game interesting. But what does he do? He takes another touch, and I'm like, all right, give it to Kulusevski. Then he takes another touch, and then passes it to Kane when he's miles offside. I'm like, he needs to be taken out. He needs to be taken out, I'm sorry, because the only way that he's going to learn and he needs time to reflect, because he's not. Conte just chucking him in and thinking he's just going to wake up one day. It's just like when you're in a job. If it gets to the point where imagine being in a job, whether you're in a call centre, you're out in the field, I don't know what it is, and you're not cutting the mustard and you kind of know it, and you get demoted, right? But your manager demotes you and says, look, I feel the pressure's on you. I feel that you need to just be taken away, out of the limelight, and just focus on doing your job, and then we can reevaluate. But in that time, I want you to reflect and spend the next 6 months doing this, training courses, maybe take a Friday off, spend more time with your family, reset your mind. I'm not saying I've been there, but we've all been there before, where you've had to take a step back, whether it's your job, a sport that you play in, a relationship, or if you're not in a relationship, the amount of times you keep meeting different people, you have to take a step back sometimes to go 2 steps forwards. And that's what needs to happen with Son. Because, I feel that he plays him because of the Kane and Son relationship, but even that's diminished. So what are we playing him for? It looks like we're playing him to feel sorry for him. But I'll get the Harry Maguire energy. Like, Harry Maguire's probably going home saying to his missus, you know what, I need some time out. And then, Solskjaer was like, there you go, not only are you playing, you're the skipper. It's terrible. And speaking of skippers, I've been somebody that wants to reach out, oh, mate, I beg you, fix your knee, because he's bad, but Fraser Foster isn't going to cut the mustard. And I feel that even though the defence is bad, they're getting worse because they don't know what Fraser Foster brings. Eric Dyer was terrible. Absolutely terrible. He was by far the worst defender. Sanchez and Tanganga were taking turns and falling over. I felt like when I was watching this game, I was watching those YouTube channels where they say people's a clown and you hear do 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 do. That's what it felt like. They were falling over and people were scoring goals. It's crazy. For me, there's a lot of people saying, after the Man City game, Tottenham are back. But we beat Man City without Conte. Conte comes back, we're back to the same thing. So for me, I feel that Conte's been stubborn. Conte is just literally throwing us out to dry, and pretty much, I'm not saying he's doing it on purpose, but there's a sense of purpose to it, because he's just not making substitutions when any other coach would. If he was on a 3-year deal, he would. He's chucking on Richarlison with 10 minutes to go, Dan Juma with 20 minutes. These are guys that you're agreeing to sign. Why are you chucking them on so late? So for me, I'm not even going to talk about ENIC. It's I've got about, there's players that I want out, but you're not going to get rid of 10 players. We're playing players like Tanganga, Sanchez, who are realistically already well known for being on the shopping list. So as far as I'm concerned, Conte needs to go because he's not going to sign a new deal. About 10 players need to go. I'm not going to go as far as Ian because they're not going anywhere. So as far as I'm concerned, I still stick with the energy that it was a good result last week, but it was there without Conte. Conte needs to go. Simple as that. I don't care what nobody says. The football's boring. He's not even proactive, because we're 3-1 down and you're still not doing anything. We're reactive, sorry. He's not even reactive. You know what I mean? We moan about coaches not being proactive. He's not even reactive. We're 3-1 down at half time. Porro's having a mare, and you leave him on until we go 4-1 down, and then bring on Emerson Royal, who's been our informed fullback. You need to go, mate. Some things in football are simple, and you're making it hard. This is Jacob on the one up top. Like I said, people, like, share, subscribe. Love you all. Have a blessed Saturday, because I know I will. Spurs will not ruin my weekend. I'm going to have loads of fun with my children. Peace.